I want to create the best products, the safest products. And it just kind of hit me where I realized in my last job, my whole job was selling the most ingredients we could. But when it came to designing our formulas, I was like, these kids are sitting in the tub for, 30 minutes at a time, soaking in dozens and dozens and dozens of ingredients. So I wanted to use less. It was like my moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of going against the industry. And when I'm going to formulate a product, I'm not going to put in 30 different ingredients just to like zhuzh it up and make it look like it's so special. I'm going to use like the minimal ingredients, like efficacious products and nothing more. My dad's a cosmetic chemist, and so for years I worked for him for 20-something years. Never planned on it. I just was like his third employee. So we were selling natural ingredients, which was at the time, not the most popular thing. And so we kind of hit it right at the right time where we were selling these natural ingredients to all the cosmetic and personal care brands. And so I just started to develop a love for the technologies and like, what's cool about cosmetic chemistry is it's not just science, it's also art and creativity. And so it was just an incredible experience, taught me so much about the business. And so I had only been CEO for about 5 years, still working with my dad and my sister, and we had the number 1 and number 2 company in the world that could possibly buy us from a strategic standpoint, come after us at the same time. So in a very short period of time, we were running a process and sold the company. Believe it or not, that's the day that I actually went on LegalZoom.com and formed an LLC for this business, because I was like, oh my gosh, we're selling this company. Now I can finally launch this brand, this kids idea that I had. Before I couldn't do it because my customers were honest, they were California Baby, they were all the big brands out there. And finally I was like, I'm gonna have to do something. I have this idea, I think it's a great idea, and I'm just gonna go for it. So in the beginning, it was just me. My husband was always there though at my side. We always have been throughout our whole marriage and our careers. We kind of always used each other as like a sounding board with tough decisions and moments in our careers, or just the day-to-day frustrations. So he knew everything because he'd been hearing me for years talking about all the ingredients and everything. And I think, he was inspired by what I was doing and decided to come and work with me. I was lucky to know some of the top cosmetic chemists in the industry, so I worked with a couple of them. I wanted to own my formulas. That was really important to me. And so we worked together. I kind of, give this product profile saying, this is what I want. These are the things I do not want in my formula. And so I had a really lovely process building and designing the formula with them. And then I told them every single ingredient that I want to use, I want to make sure that it's made here in the United States, because no one does that. They just make the chemists usually just they're very creative and scientific, and they'll just make the best product they can make without even thinking about where the product's coming from. But then you end up with 85 ingredients, 20 are coming from India, Taiwan, Germany, Italy, Australia, all over the place. And then I always think about supply chain because that was my last business. And so I was like, that's gross to me. If you're making a natural product, then you have some awareness of sustainability. You're thinking about Mother Earth. And so the idea of, why would you have to go so far? We've got wonderful technologies and expert and ethical manufacturers here right in the United States, in Tennessee, Wisconsin, South Carolina. And so I kind of knew there might be 20 places where you can buy a certain raw material, and I know the place that makes it here in the United States and that makes it, with no byproducts. And it's interesting, fragrances, typical artificial fragrances and companies that make fragrances don't typically reveal their formula, right? So if you're buying a fragrance, a brand is buying you won't even know what's in it. So if you look at a typical shampoo, you'll find an ingredient in there that's called carbomer. Those are essentially liquid plastic. And what they do is they swell in water and thicken a formula. So those cheaper formulas I was telling you about, oftentimes it's sodium lauryl sulfate, artificial fragrance, and then you're gonna find that acrylates cross-polymer in there. So it swells and gives the illusion of a thick, rich formula, when really it's probably a 90% water product. So you can make a shampoo and use probably 80-something% water and 15% solid sodium lauryl sulfate, throw in a little artificial fragrance, and you can have the world's cheapest shampoo. And a lot of times they have nasty byproducts that aren't ideal, like the 1,4-dioxanes, or there's animal byproducts that are used. I mean, a lot of that stuff I don't think belongs in products because it doesn't ever really go away. So when you're thinking about your kid bathing in a tub, not only does it matter what you're putting on your child's body, but it's also like everything is going down the drain. And you think about water aquatoxicity and the biodegradability, like I was telling you about. So things like the plastic cross polymers or, the microplastics, that kind of stuff, it's just not good for the earth. Unfortunately, through my business experience, I did run across brands that, would skip certain safety tests before launching. And so it really informed me in that I was going to be using these products on my own children. So that was 100%. If you're going to design something for your own children, you want to know that it's going to be safe. You're going to do the testing to make sure that it does not cause any ocular irritation or skin sensitivity. You're going to make sure that there's no byproducts in there. You're going to make sure, right? And you want to make sure that it's really going to bubble and foam the way that kids want it to. You're going to make sure that it has scent, but that it's not too much. So yeah, having kids completely guided me through the process. And it was fun because we got to involve them in that part of the business. Like when we first were picking our scents, I didn't have to, but I would intentionally bring stuff home and be like, hey guys, could you help me out here and tell me which scents you like? And I'd give them a little sheet and they'd fill it out. And then they'd give me ideas like, Mom, you should call this watermelon power. Or, it was just so cute to see them get excited about it. And I got to teach them a lot about, how the products were made at that point. But having kids really made me realize that like, if I can spend money on anything, it's on all the safety testing and making sure that when I launch on day one, I don't have to go to sleep at night wondering if there's ever going to be any adverse reaction or problem. Like I made sure that I didn't have that. So what makes us different is that we know everything that goes into our fragrance, but we did use an expert fragrance house to help design it. What we did was limit them to what they could use in terms of like what we were comfortable using, whether it was, essential oils or there's like hydrosols and like different technologies that can be used to help kind of create a scent. It's been difficult right from the beginning because everything's so expensive, to start a brand. And I would hear all these people speak at different beauty industry events saying like, oh, I had $15,000 and I started, Drunk Elephant or whatever. And I'd be like, wait, one SKU for a sensitivity test is $6,000. Like, how could this possibly be how much money you spent? Like, so, if you really do the work, doing all the safety testing, and then you have to make your first batch, there's more testing that goes involved in that. You have to do your efficacy testing, like when you're putting in your preservative to make sure your product is not going to grow any bacteria or mold. You do that at 3 different points. You send that out. You wait for those results before you put anything in a bottle. And then you monitor those results over time by lot numbers. And those are so important. Everything costs money. It's hard to find a contract manufacturer. This is why I wanted to own my formula, because I wanted to have the ability to know exactly what was in my product. I didn't want to call my contract manufacturer every day and be like, is this in it? Because I just had a customer ask about an allergy. And I wanted to be able to move it around. So like if we're small and we're making 1,000 units or 5,000 units, we're right-sized and have a good manufacturer. But then when we had our opportunity to go into Target and we wanted to move to a bigger manufacturer, it was very easy for me. I own the formula. I can easily go ask someone else to make it for me. A lot of times, like the natural brands will just use, chamomile and lavender, blend it together, and, originally it smells pretty good, but it's not a real masterful scent. It kind of can go away quickly, it can shift over time. So what we do is we always use, like 5, 6, 7 different components in each one, but so that you get that like top note, you get that middle base note, like the heart note, and then you get that long-term kind of scent experience. So it's more expertly designed, and I love scent. I think it's a shame that a lot of brands use these artificial scents that can be really irritating. And then there's parents that feel like, I have to go fragrance-free because there's no other choice. But so many of our studies show that even compared against fragrance-free with like our strawberry scent, same exact results in all of our sensitivity testing. So like fragrance-free doesn't have to be the default experience. Like for kids who might have sensitivities, you just have to do a really good job from like the starting point in terms of like what you're really using and how gentle the components are. What Target just randomly reached out to me and was like, hey, I've seen your product line. It looks amazing. I'd love to consider you. Are you open to talking? And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it happened. It's like the dream, right? Where you're like, I can't believe this happened. But it did take 5.5 years for that lucky phone call to come in, you know? I often joke that like I will see the people at the office here more than I see my friends. So I'm very, very lucky that I think I work with such great people that, you know, are inspiring and fun. And so, yeah, it's a great team. They're great people. And every day, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're down in our conference room and we're all eating together and we're sharing weekend stories, or we're definitely all trying to like tell each other what show to watch, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun. It's like a very fulfilling environment. You know, working alone for so many years and wondering if you're crazy and like, am I gonna make it? To then having people who are like, I mean, they love this brand and they're like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's like accelerating at a pace that could never happen. But also just the heart and the passion that goes behind that too. And like, it's like that whole thing, right? Where it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 = 4 sometimes. It's 5. It's like, you know, and then you put them together and it's like, it really is a chemistry. It really is cool.